What's up, everybody? Hope we're all doing good. In this video, we're going to go through how you can write a TikTok Shop live script that's actually going to convert your viewers into buyers, okay? If you've already gone live on TikTok Shop and haven't seen much success, I can almost guarantee you the real problem is not your product, it's not your setup, it's not even your energy. The main problem is your script, okay? It's more specifically the fact that you don't even know what goes into writing a winning script, because I see so many people who have solid products and they make nothing on their TikTok Shop lives. And I see the same thing over and over again where they're just talking about the product and describing it and hoping that that is enough to get the viewer to convert into a buyer. But in this video, we're going to go through the exact anatomy of a high converting TikTok Shop live script. Okay, we're going to go through every section, why it actually exists, and what it's actually doing psychologically to move someone from scrolling past your live to actually hitting the buy button. Okay, and this is the same framework that I'm about to show you that I used for all of my students who are hitting $100 days like SP, or like $200 days just like Joanne, or like $300 days like AJ, another $300 day from Addie. Tons of people have used this exact process I'm about to give you and made hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a day with, okay? And Stephanie, one of my most famous students right now, she's all over your guys' For You page. She used it and she went from zero, and when I say zero, like genuinely zero, she didn't even have an account with 5K to making $17,000 a month in her second month, okay? So let's get straight into it, okay? Why do most live scripts actually fail, okay? Before we can even get into what a good script looks like, it's important to understand why scripts don't work, okay? Because understanding this is half of the battle, okay? The biggest mistake I see is that people treat their life like a product description, where they're just kind of talking about the product and selling the product instead of selling the actual benefits of the product, okay? So they're going to go on and say, hey guys, today I'm going to be selling this product, blah, 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 okay? They explain what the product does, they mention the price, and then they just wait and hope for something to happen, but of course, nothing happens, right? And here's the thing, the people watching your live did not come into your live to hear a product description. If they wanted that, they could have just gone to the product listing and read it, okay? But what actually makes someone buy in a live environment is a combination of things that has actually nothing to do with the product's features, right? It has everything to do with how you frame it and how you create urgency, okay? And ultimately, whether they feel something while watching your live, okay? So think about a movie like Creed. What emotion is a movie like Creed inspiring and invoking in you? It's dopamine, right? They're getting dopamine because they feel motivated and they want to go start training to become a professional boxer after watching it, right? So the second mistake I see is going live with zero structure, okay? A lot of people do this where they're kind of just freestyling and they think it's going to make them feel more natural and more authentic, but what actually happens is they're just rambling and they actually forget how to create urgency and they forget how to close the viewer into a buyer, okay? So the viewer just ends up scrolling, right? A script is not necessarily there to make you sound like an NPC. A good script is going to give you a track to run on so that your energy can go into the delivery instead of trying out and figuring out what to say next in the live, okay? You're always going to have a framework to reference off of. If you ever forget what to say, if you're ever getting off track, you can glance over at your script and instantly know what you're supposed to say. So it's meant to be like a track, okay? The third mistake is copying what someone else is saying without understanding why they say it, okay? I see this a lot where you watch a live, you hear a line that sounds good and you think it's a really good line, so you're going to go steal it for yourself, right? But if you don't know what that line is actually doing psychologically inside the buyer's mind, you will not be able to deliver it with conviction, which is pretty much everything, because conviction is everything, okay? So let's fix all three of those problems that we just addressed right away, okay? And we're going to talk about how you can write a script the right way. So before we get into the sections, I want to show you how I actually build one, because my process is the same process I've used to make multiple millions of dollars in revenue on TikTok Shop. And most people who try, they just sit down and they try to write a script from scratch, but that's not how I would approach it at all, because that's just the completely wrong approach, okay? Here's what I would do, okay? I would go onto TikTok, I would search the product I'm selling, and I would filter it to the lives, okay? From here, I'd find someone who's selling that product right now and is doing well. When I consider doing well as like a couple hundred viewers and they're getting product clicks and they're getting sales, okay? I can tell because, again, they have viewers, I can see sales coming through the screen. So what I'll do right there is I'm going to sit in their live for like 10 minutes and I'm genuinely going to write down everything they say word for word into a Google Doc or like a document of any sort, okay? Then what I do from there is I have 2 or 3 other people who I find that are doing the same exact product, okay? And then essentially all I have to do is take what's working amongst all these people who I've found and combine it into one. So it's not something that I necessarily invented. It's not something that I'm hoping is going to work. I'm using the lines from people who are making sales actively. Okay, so I merge them into one. I pull the best opening from one, the best urgency mechanism for another, and the best close from a third. And I build something that's stronger than any single one of them, because you're not writing a script this way. You're actually building from data that's working for other people, right? So the anatomy of a high converting live script is going to have a couple different sections, which we're going to talk about right now. First of all, the stop scroll hook, okay? The first 3 seconds of someone watching your live stream is the most important part. It's just like a hook in a video. Everyone knows how important high retention attention hook is in a video, but they really neglect that fact for live streams, okay? Because the viewer in your live has already scrolled past 100 other videos and lives to get there. So you have realistically a couple seconds before they decide if they're going to scroll or stay. Okay, so your opening line literally needs to do one thing, and it's make them stop. So how do we do that, right? You're not going to go there and introduce yourself. You're not going to say, hey guys, welcome into my live. That's boring, right? Everyone's going to scroll past that. Here is what you actually have to do. You can use either curiosity or relevance, okay? And I'm going to give you an example of both, okay? Because you either say something that makes them want to know more, or you say something that's going to make them feel like you're talking directly to them. And the best hooks are going to do exactly both of them, okay? So for example, curiosity is going to be asking an open-ended question. If I'm promoting something like NeuroGum right here, NeuroGum is meant for focus and energy. It's a chewing gum that you kind of just put in your mouth, and it helps you get a little bit focused because it has caffeine in it. So I'll say something like, how often are you in school and you can't even focus? How often are you at work and you're having a hard time, focusing at your work, right? That's an open-ended question I'm asking them. But at the same time, it's also calling out the intended buying audience because it's relevant to them, right? Because they're dealing with the same exact problem. Another way you can create specifically relevance is to literally call out the audience you're trying to sell to. So let's say I'm selling ashwagandha for this example. If you guys don't know what ashwagandha does, it's really good for stress. I will literally say, if you're someone who's always running around the house and feeling stressed out, if you're someone who's always feeling low energy throughout the day, I'm directly calling out the audience that I'm trying to sell to, because that way it feels like you're directly talking to them. You're directly addressing their problems, and that's going to give them a reason to stay and hear you out, okay? Section 2, product introduction, okay? And this is a huge one. You have to lead with value and not features, okay? Once you have them stopped, once they're watching your live, you only have an extra couple seconds to actually convince them to stay even longer, okay? So you have to introduce your product, right? And this is where most people lose them, because they say, guys, this is this product, it does X feature, and it comes in this color, right? Something along the lines of that. But that's just a product listing. Again, if they wanted to see a product listing, they would press on the product listing itself and go read it for themselves, okay? So what you're doing in this section is answering one question that the viewer is silently asking. Why should I care about this right now? Okay. So the goal here is to have them thinking, okay, this is an actually interesting product, not just, okay, now I understand what the product is. Okay. So a really good way you can go about this is sell the product as a solution to their problem. Okay, so for example, if you're someone who's always feeling stressed out, tap the white banner down below and make sure you check out before the price goes back up to $50 at full price tomorrow. Something like that. You want to sell them the solution to their problems. You're not going to talk about how this has, 20 milligrams of vitamin D2 and 30 milligrams of KSM 66. Like, no one cares, right? You're going to sell them the solution to their problems, okay? Section 3, social proof. In my opinion, the most important section of these all is social proof. Okay, so this is where you have to build trust, okay? Because a lot of people are skeptical. They don't know you. They just stumbled onto your live 30 seconds ago. And what social proof is going to do is it's going to collapse that skepticism, okay? So not with a long story, just a quick and clean signal that other people have bought this and it has worked for other people, okay? It's not going to be a testimonial video. It's a trust signal in and out. And that's really it. Okay. So something you can say along the lines of social proof is talking about how many other people have ordered. We've already had 14 people order these on our stream, 14 happy customers. Okay. Or if you don't believe me, go down there and read those reviews for yourself. They're rated 4.5 stars for a reason. You can even just talk about how many products have been sold on the TikTok shop. Guys, there's a reason these have sold almost 50,000 units in the past month on TikTok shop, right? Anything like that is going to be really good for building trust and ultimately social proof in your live. Okay. Section 4, what's actually going to convert them into a buyer is urgency and scarcity, okay? This is the section that actually makes people buy right now instead of later. Okay, maybe later usually means they're never going to buy it. Okay, so once they scroll, they're gone. You have to think of it like that. If they don't buy in your live, it's done. Okay, that's how you should frame it in your mind. Okay, urgency and scarcity are not manipulation. They are structure. A lot of people think urgency and scarcity just means lying about how many discounts you can give out, lying about how much time you have left on the sale. That's not what you're supposed to do. You have to give someone a reason to make a decision right now rather than putting it off. You have to almost make it feel logical. Okay, so something like, guys, do not be that person who comes back and pays $35 at full price when on my stream right now they're only $12, right? Anything like that, it makes it feel logical. Like, hey, why would I be that guy who comes back and pays double the price for these, right? I don't want to be that guy. So the easiest way you can do this is using a live flash sale, okay? A lot of brands are offering live flash sales. All you have to do is shoot the company a direct message on TikTok inside the DMs, and you can get them to enable live flash sales for you. That way, you can set a certain amount in stock. So if you only want to sell 10 in stock, that way during your stream, you can build scarcity, saying something like, guys, we only have 10 left in stock until the end of the live. That way, people are actually forced to take action on whether or not they're going to buy it. If you don't have the ability to use a live flash sale, then simply just use a visual time timer. There's so much you can do with this, right? You can get a digital clock from Target right now. You can open up your phone, and on your phone, there's going to be a timer app too, right? Just go here, go to the clock, and then boom, I can say, guys, we only have 3 minutes and 58 more seconds until the price goes back up. Anything like that is also going to be really good for building urgency, okay? So limited stock showing up on screen with the flash deals and a price that's only available while the live is running are the two biggest things you have to be able to do. So you can take a screenshot of this. I would recommend taking a screenshot. Literally just these two things right here are the most important things you want to do in terms of urgency and scarcity, okay? Because this one section alone has doubled tons of my students' conversion rates, okay? It's the same product they're doing, the same live stream, the same time they're going live at. All they're doing here is adding an extra element of proper urgency, okay? And this is the one lever that Will pull to make $200 in a day when last week before this, he was only making 50 to $100 a day. Same thing with Mike. He was making $900 in a single day after implementing this, but before that, he was only making $200 to $300 a day, okay? So yeah, I mean, there's tons of more examples I can go through as well, but let's continue. Section 5 is the close, okay? And this is the part where most people either skip or deliver so weakly that it does not matter. So you need to ask people for the sale directly, okay? Not, you can check it out if you want, not, it's available in the link below. You have to tell them exactly what to do, exactly what set of actions should the buyer take or should the consumer take to become a buyer, okay? All you have to do is make it feel easy, okay? And a really easy way to do this is to literally use your second device and show them how to check out. So open up your own live stream on another device, open it up in front of your live so all your viewers can see it and show them how to check out. So you're going to press this button. It's going to take you to the cart. You're going to add 2 to your cart if you want to get free shipping. Whatever action they have to take to get the discount, you're going to show them it on your second device. Okay. And again, here's the thing. A script cannot necessarily do this for you. You just have to understand it. Okay. And I have to be honest because I think it's really important. The script is the framework, but the script alone is not going to close sales. Okay. What actually closes sales is conviction more than anything else. Okay. Because I've seen people who have perfect scripts deliver it flat and literally make nothing, like $0 days. But I've had students who weren't even fully on script, but were still making hundreds, thousands of dollars a day because they had real belief in their product. And that real belief shows up in the middle of your live to all your consumers, okay? So when you actually have a good understanding of your product before you hop on live, when you take an extra 10 minutes to do more product research, and when you actually know it's a good deal for the person who's watching your stream, and ultimately you believe in what you're saying, people will feel it. And that is going to give people a reason to buy from you because they believe you now, right? So before you go live, make sure you understand why the product is worth the current price, why they should buy it right now instead of later or on different websites or different stores, right? And you have to know exactly who it's for and why they should care. When you have that clarity, your script is essentially just a tool that's going to amplify your conviction. It's not going to be necessarily a substitute for it, okay? And Stephanie, again, one of my most famous students right now, she's averaging like 400 to 500 viewers on her TikTok Shop lives. She's a perfect example of this, right? She came in with no account. She didn't even know you could go live on TikTok Shop, and she had an account with like 500 followers. She had no experience and no prior experience with sales, most importantly, right? She learned the framework and she understood her product, and most importantly, she actually had conviction in her product. 2 months later, $17,000 in a single month, right? The script gave her the structure, but she brought the belief and the conviction herself, okay? So that's the full breakdown, right? Let's go through one more time. The stop, scroll, hook, the product introduction, and the social proof, and then finally the urgency mechanism, okay? The close and the conviction is the thing that's going to tie all these sections together, okay? Now, here's the thing. You should take this exact framework I talked about, build your own script, and go test it for yourself. I genuinely want you to do that, okay? Because doing that can make you thousands and thousands of dollars a day, as you can see on the screen, okay? And even for my students, it's made them $300 in a single day. Who is this? Boom. Dom, just like that. Bryant made $178 with this. And Olman made $253 in a single day with this as well, right? But what I do inside my coaching is a completely different thing, right? It's completely one-on-one, where I pick out your products for you. I figure out what specific situation you're in, what kind of products you like promoting, and I write a script directly correlated for your situation, okay? It's not going to be like a generic template. It's going to be something directly built for your product and your live style, most importantly, because everyone has a different style on lives, okay? After your first few lives, I'm going to review your footage with you and tell you exactly what to change and what necessary levers you have to pull in order to get to the next income level, okay? And that's the difference between figuring it out over 6 months and getting it right within the first few weeks, like most of my students do, right? You're either paying with your time and spending months and months trying to figure it out yourself, or you're paying with your money, okay? So if that's something that you want, if you want me to coach you directly one-on-one and hold your hand with your journey on TikTok Shop, just click the first link in the description. And if it makes sense for where you're at, we'll go from there. Other than that, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Peace out and have a great day.